Good morning. It is 10 o'clock, so we will get going with our May webinar. We are pleased to welcome Andrew Horn, our partner at TFND, to present on Quit Week. We plan this efficiently. It's 1 month away today, so June 9th through 15th. Quit Week is coming up. You should have received an email with the Google Drive from Andrew, but I'm sure he'll give you more information on how to use all these resources. He'll also be joined by Kara Backer. I think she has some information on treatment, and we also do have our media expert, Kara Hickel, on the call for any questions that you may have. So feel free to raise your hand throughout that. I will be watching that for Andrew, or place any questions in the chat, and I will pass those along to him. So Andrew, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abby. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and hopefully get this going. Let's get this. All right. Can everyone see the PowerPoint?
The PowerPoint is up, but it also does show you other slides. It's not in presentation, if that, want to click it over.
Is it up there now?
So we can see the slide, but you do have your slide deck on the side, which.
Not a big deal. I didn't take any extra notes on it anyway. So
sounds good.
Welcome, everyone. This is, again, Quit Week 2024. I am Andrew Horn, the Coalition Program Director for Tobacco Free North Dakota. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. Quit Week. What is Quit Week for those of you who are new or may not have seen this before? Quit Week is a coordinated multi-platform media campaign, which just highlights the tobacco and nicotine dependence treatment resources available in North Dakota. And we started this in 2020. It was started pretty thrown together in 2020, and every year since then we've really gotten more and more lead time and more in-depth planning to make it a more well thought out campaign. And we continue to expand the reach and the resources, both with work with the Department of Health with the Department of Health and Human Resources team, and with the feedback from you all. So what does multi-platform mean? It simply just means many different media avenues, whether that's different social media channels, whether it's broadcast TV, digital media, radio, billboards, whatever. The reason we go multi-platform is we get many different audiences when we go multi-platform. The Instagram audience is different than our Facebook audience, different than radio, than TV, than newspaper, etc. So the wider net we can cast with our message that way, the better it's going to be in trying to reach that broad amount of people. And with that, we have the broad messaging as well. Earned media there at the bottom, that's just the news stories. You may see, for those who aren't familiar with that terminology, that's in my old world of being a TV reporter, that's going on, getting yourself an interview, whether that be radio, TV, doing a morning show with one of the morning shows around the state. So that was where earned media can also be an effective tool as part of the media strategy as a whole. And then we come to why we've done Quit Week. And the reason we do it is simply because it works. Coordinated media plans and events are way more successful than just kind of haphazardly posting and trying to piecemeal letting people know what's together. When we pool resources together and put out one voice, one message in a really pulled together effort, it helps drive people that are thinking about quitting to quitting, and it drives awareness as well. The picture you see on your screen is from the synthesis report from 2021, the 2021 to 23 synthesis report. And as you can see in the graphs around that week 10, 11, 12, the ND quits enrollment spike right around the time that Quit Week is being promoted throughout the state. And we've seen this each of the 3 years. We have the key there on the bottom, which shows each line represents a different year at this point in the data. We've seen a huge spike each year leading up into Quit Week, and anecdotally from local public health partners as well as the state, we've actually had people calling in advance wondering if Quit Week has been coming, when it's going to be coming up, and expecting to see the messages. So the branding is working, and people are expecting now to see Quit Week here in June. So that tells you that it is working, and people are listening, people are hearing it. So what are some of those resources available? As Abby mentioned, I sent out a Google Drive link, as well as Heather Austin sent out a Google Drive link with the folders, and each folder has a different purpose. Some of them are fairly self-explanatory. They have the files for radio, print ads, billboards. They're meant for public awareness, place them with vendors, and they need to run during Quit Week. So during June 9th through the 15th is when those need to run and be utilized. The logo and QR codes you can add to other materials that you may have developed for Quit Week as well. They also need to be used during that June 9th through 15th time. And now we're going to go into 3 of the real key pieces that were developed, and that's in the earned media kit. And I'm going to go through these with you. It's the talking points document, the Swiss cheese news release, and the post plan. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing real quick and actually get over into these, and we'll go through them one by one. And we will start with we'll start with the talking points document. This is a really, really good piece of information to really explain what is It's Quitting Time, what is Quit Week, why should people, quit tobacco, costs associated with it, things that we talk about on a daily basis, put into an easy to use document. One of the reasons that you all should review this document, if you do any earned media, all right, if you do any sort of interview, and I have seen this before in working with people who are very well versed in whatever, expert in whatever field they work in, you put them in front of a camera, you put a microphone in front of them, they get nervous, you tense up, and all of a sudden, it's almost like they blue screen like a computer. This is something that you can fall back on, these talking points, and you can practice these talking points so that even if the nerves do get the better of you and you forget some of what you wanted to say, you have these talking points to fall back on to still do your interview in a successful manner. These also work with the community, and as Kara Backer will talk about, these will work when you're doing outreach as well to local providers. So these talking points are great to use. They're a great starting point, and they can often drive the conversation. Like I said, many of these can get a conversation started, and it can cause things to cause conversation to get going from there. The next piece, can you also still see my screen or no?
Yes.
Okay. The next piece is the news release. I have gotten a couple emails about this. This is the news release. It is, first off, here's what it'll look like in the back end. I should probably have started here. When you click the Google Drive link, it will look like this.
Andrew, actually, we're still on the talking points. I'm sorry. I can still see your screen.
Okay.
It didn't switch over. Pardon me.
Here we go.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So when you click into the Google Drive link, it will look like this. Let me start with here. So it will look like this. Here's how all your folders will look like. And as I mentioned, the billboard, the infographic logo, those are pretty self-explanatory what's in here. What I'm explaining now is in this one, the earned media toolkit. And when you go into here, that is when you'll find, or where you'll find your talking points, your news release, and then the post plan. So let's go over to the news release, and I'll share this tab now. So the news release, for those of you who are going to use this, you're going to want to fill in your information in all the highlighted sections and keep note of the date. Right now, this is a placeholder date. You can send yours when it's going to work for your organization. However, I would highly recommend sending it out before June 9th, but June 3rd or later. So sometime between that, like June 3rd to June, what would that be? Between June 3rd and June 7th, or June 3rd and June 6th, because don't do Friday news dumps. So between June 3rd and June 6th, I would highly recommend, if you are going to utilize this piece, to send it out, and just make sure you send with whatever date you want to utilize. And as I said, go ahead and fill in your information in the highlighted portions there. And then the great thing about these news releases is that you get an option for which quote you want to use. Pick whichever quote you would like between 1 and 2, delete the other one, continue filling out the information, and then it is ready to go. We found early on that these Swiss cheese news releases are very, very easy to use and really help engage local media to help them, kind of get more coverage of It's Quitting Time rather than it just coming statewide. We do send. I will send something statewide, a statewide release, when our local public health partners send something statewide in addition to what I send. We have found that it does lead to more coverage. Can't tell you why, don't know exactly why. Sometimes they just like it when they get something from people in their communities. All right, and now we're going to go back to the earned media folder and go through the post plan real quick. So this is going to contain everything that TFND will be posting on our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter pages during Quit Week. You'll find the text for it in the document, and then the corresponding pictures and videos are dated in here. So here is the pictures folder. Everything is just dated corresponding to the day of the post. And same with the videos. And let me get into the post plan. As you can see, for those who have done this before, it looks very similar to years past, where you have your text, which the text here will be your post. That is just the title to let you know what day it will go on and a sampling of what will go with it. If it has animation here, you can find animation in the video folder in there as well. And as you go down, very important, they have these, and I will actually go ahead and highlight this. Many of the posts have insert LPHU and or ND quits right here. Please make sure you edit this. This is meant for you to pump your own organization if you offer these services as well. So I will go in and highlight them as well, just so that they don't get lost in the shuffle. I have done that before in the first year we did it. When we were making posts, I accidentally posted one that said insert LPHU name with it, and it was embarrassing, but I was able to get it fixed, and it made me realize that I needed to look a lot closer when doing it. And it'll have all of the posts here, and you just go ahead and copy paste this into whatever social media channels you're using with the corresponding media, and then post it.
Hey, Andrew,
So
can I
that
just
is,
make a quick comment? When you say copy and paste, just the text, don't use the
yes,
picture on this file, use the media file, right?
yes, just the text is the copy paste, and then you will go into the picture or video to get that actual file in there. And what I will go ahead and do after we're done here today, I put with last year's Quit Week, we made a video on kind of a how-to video on how to pre-schedule your post on Facebook. And I will go ahead and add that video into the Google Drive folder so that you have that reference as well. It'll have last year's dates, but the information is still the same. All righty. Any questions so far? I know I've kind of flown through that a little quick, but any questions so far?
I don't see anything in the chat, but feel free to raise your hand if you have something, or you can place it in there.
This is Kara. I was just gonna say the post plan is, the thought is similar to other years in that we kind of highlight American Indian or youth, or so we do try to cover certain themes and just kind of change it up year to year, but you'll probably recognize those same themes.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Kara. Every year we have had themed posts with that, and this year is no different. We have made some changes in that, and like I said, this year is no different. Thank you, Kara. All right, I will stop sharing and get back to my PowerPoint.
We did just get one question in the chat before you get going. Will you resend out the Google Drive link of the materials after this meeting?
Yes, we can, and Abby, I can send that to you as well. I think we can get that resent to everyone as well.
Just a quick question, because I see that it's someone from Sanford, Fargo. Is Sanford able to open the Google Drives?
So I don't know, depending on health systems, some have firewalls that will block them from opening, and we have not been able to get around certain health system firewalls no matter how hard we've tried. I don't know what else to do. So for the Sanford people, the best I can recommend is if you can forward it to your personal email and get your personal email open and download from there. If you are still blocked from that, we'll try and connect offline and see what we can do. Abby, thank you for putting that in the chat. Maybe we can get it through here. But if it's still blocking you through those couple methods, I'm not 100% sure how we can get around it. That is something that we have fought the last couple years, and we've tried various workarounds, and they have not always worked. Kara, do you remember what we did last year? Because I thought we had something worked out last year, and I can't remember now.
No, I think it's pretty similar to that. Suggested forwarding to a personal email to see if they could open it, kind of get it into their own health system, kind of that way. Then if they did see something they like, sometimes I did send the PDF, but then if there was ever a little edit or something, that might not be current, so.
Okay.
Oh, Pam says she was able to get one of them open. That's positive. Thanks, Pam.
Yeah, we will, like I said, you can always reach out to us. We will try and find, if we're running into firewall issues, we will try and find workarounds so that you can get that. Yep, Stephanie, I was afraid of that. We will try and connect and figure out. We will try and figure out a way to work around that. So please, this is good for us to know. Abby has placed my email in the chat, so please feel free to connect with me offline, and I'll be happy to try and work with you and try and get you these assets, as many as we can. All right. Let's head back to the PowerPoint real quick. So we've talked about those three pieces with the talking points, the news release, and the post plan. And when it comes to the post plan, this specifically for our local public health partners, every year I do go through and just kind of count and see who posts from the post plan how many times, and I use that as part of our data collection. And last year I changed up what counts and made what would be called a strict count. So what counts as a post, or what would count as a correct post, if you will, would be the correct day, correct text, and the correct photo, video, or link. So that would be posting June 3rd's post, the text, the photo, or the animation on June 3rd, and doing that. We've had in the past where some have taken other days and posted them later. We've had some post multiples in the day. We're really trying to do it to follow the schedule, and that's what it goes to the organic post. Shares, we've also counted shares as a post. So if one local public health unit shared TFND's post from, let's say, June 10th, on June 10th, that will count, but it will only count for June 10th. The only reason we are doing this kind of counting is to see how much participation we get. And this is only applying for the Facebook pages, and it's not taking into account other social media accounts like Twitter, Instagram, things like that.
Yep.
Other efforts, so additional posts, shares, community outreach, things like that, they are wildly important, and I cannot understate how important they are. They're just not included in the data. So this is strictly just for the data, trying to get the same day, text, and photo on the local public health unit Facebook pages, in addition to TFND's posting with it. When we do the feedback, which we'll talk about a little later in the presentation, we do also reach out to other partners and see how they use the materials, whether or not they use the post plans. But this is also very valuable data for us to see if the social media angle, which has always been a big component of our Quit Week campaign, is still one of the best methods for us to use going forward. But like I said, those additional posts, shares, and community outreach especially are extremely important. And to talk about the community outreach, I'm going to turn it over to Kara Backer.
Okay, well, thanks, Andrew. So this is our updated fact sheet. In the past, it looked like an infographic with, about 8 or 9 images on it. And that had little facts that were probably related to things back in the talking point document. And when we looked at it earlier this year, it's good information. There was a lot. What do you keep? What do you change? So we just kind of wiped it clean and we started fresh. So this fact sheet looks more branded with the new media and the commercial that was created last year. And then parts of it the same, right? The logo, our logos for ND Quits, Tobacco Free North Dakota, the new QR code that would take you to the ND Quits page. This is a helpful tool as you're engaging with your local clinicians or other TTS within your health system or organization. When you go and visit with them and you want to educate them about Quit Week or your on-site services and resources like your own TTS, you might have some NRT available. You're promoting your services and talking with clinicians and then letting them know these things that you have and how you can take that off their plate, right? But when you leave them, you could provide this type of flyer for them. They can print it in various sizes and have it up for the staff that week. Whether or not you're going to use that in a public area, that's up to you. But really, this is to help engage clinicians. You have some 3 main points there about coaching and medication is so important. And these are things that and they're just things that we want to highlight for providers and other healthcare staff. So this is a tool to use after you've engaged them and talked about Quit Week. And some of those things you could review in the talking point if you need that as you're talking to other people. But this gives you a visual and it can connect, these important facts about evidence-based treatment and the branding of our Quit Week. I think that's all. I'm good. Is that question for me, Danielle?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I like the visual. Are these going to be sent out like from your, are you sending these out to any providers just so we know what's already being sent versus what we will send out? And it's okay if they're doubled up too, but I was just wondering if you are sending any of these fact sheets out to providers or pharmacies.
Nope.
Okay.
We at the state, we are not. We're sharing it with our grantees and partners. So as part of their engagement, and this has its own file in the Google Drive.
Thank you.
Okay. Over to you, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, Kara. And this has also, as Kara mentioned, the infographic kind of came from other feedback that we had gotten, which is why the next part I'm going to talk about is the Quit Week feedback is so important, because ever since the very first year, the feedback we get from the local public health units and our grantees and partners is so important in helping shape how this project, how this campaign works and how it will look from year to year. As anyone who has been here since year one will tell you, it looks vastly different now than it did in the very first year in 2020. And it continues to evolve, and we're very happy that it continues to evolve. But to be honest, we do need more participation in the feedback to ensure that we get the best results going forward. We need more people sharing what they've experienced with it. You know, are you using the materials? And that's going to really ensure that we are getting the best materials out to you, and we are doing the best job that we can do with this campaign. So in looking at the feedback questions, these are the ones from last year, and I am going to keep them the same for this year. I felt that this was probably the best kind of way that we could get the widest array of feedback. These will also be emailed out probably the week following Quit Week, and usually we give everyone a couple weeks to respond, and then we just compile that, and then whether it's an August webinar or quarterly partner meeting or some gathering in the fall, we then share the results of the feedback that we get from everyone. So again, this year, we're just kind of looking, what type of outreach did you do with the materials? So did you use the social media assets? Did you place the digital billboard ads, radio, newspaper, that kind of stuff? Be specific. And then we have a separate question for, did you do community outreach, whether with providers, meetings, community events? Did you make your own materials? We've had plenty of people in the past make their own materials, and we'd like to know that going forward. There's the healthcare provider specific question there. Anyone expressing a desire to quit during Quit Week, or did Quit Week influence that decision? And do you think the cessation messaging is resonating in your community? This has also been a huge one in an evolution really in the last 10 years, as we have changed the way that we message cessation from a you need to quit to we are here to support you if you are looking to quit. And in the future, 10 years from now, who knows what best practice messaging is going to be. So information, especially on that final question, is really going to be critical as we continue to shape this going forward. That is my presentation. This is really been meant for a Q&A session as well, Abby. So I will turn it over to you and fire away.
Chelsea has a question. Is ND Quits Media also enhanced during Quit Week?
I can answer that. We will do, right now, I'm just finalizing the media buy. I had hoped I would have it completed by now so I could present this information, but I'm just finalizing it right now. So what it looks like, we will be on 4 weeks of broadcast, starting on May 20th, going through the end of Quit Week, which is June 15th. We will have 3 weeks on radio. And I will say this is the one area that we have expanded this year. So if you were planning to run a radio ad, please reach out to me to make sure that we're not duplicating radio stations in your area, because we have expanded our radio buy to rural markets this year. This is really the first time that we've done this outside of the Forebears and the Belcourt Public Radio. So I could go through them right now really quickly. So if you don't hear your town and you have a question, please reach out to me and I can help you with that. But our big markets for radio are, of course, Bismarck, Fargo, Grand Forks, Devils Lake, Dickinson, Jamestown, Minot, Williston. And then this year we are expanding into those rural markets, like I said, which is Bottineau, Bowman, Carrington, Harvey, Hettinger, Mayville, Rugby, Valley City, Wahpeton, and then the 2 tribal radio stations that I had mentioned. So if you have any questions, if there's more than one radio station in your town and I had mentioned it, please reach out to me and I can help you so we don't end up duplicating those ads. And then also we will be running a 4-week digital and social campaign as well. And that includes connected TV, audiology with like Spotify and things like that, as we have done in the past.
I popped Kara's email in the chat so that you have that if you need to reach out to her specifically. And it looks like Danielle has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I have another question. So for digital media or digital billboards, Kara Hickel, did you mention digital billboards statewide?
No.
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 Okay, so just
When
radio,
I'm sorry.
TV.
Yeah, when I say
Okay.
digital media, I mean basically the computers. We do not.
Okay.
I believe we had artwork for digital billboards, and if I am incorrect on that, reach out to me and I can see what we can get for you if you are looking for digital billboards. Well, now that I say that, let me just make sure, because I know we had to cut some things that we've done in the years past. So I just want to make sure that that is not part of it. Hold on one second. Like I said, I'm just finalizing this right now. So I will get back to you in like 3 seconds.
Sounds good. While Kara's looking that up, does anybody else have a question?
I was
Brady,
wondering if,
Oh.
sorry.
go ahead. Yep.
I was just wondering if anyone had any ideas to share of community outreaches they have done, like to enhance or to add on to ND Quits in their communities.
Looks like Sue had put in the chat that she's done some digital billboards, for Bismarck. Anyone else have something to respond for Cindy?
Well, I would shamelessly plug working with a local health system, either in your community, and maybe you'll eventually, find a champion that would, even brainstorm with you, would think what kind of message would resonate. I don't know. I don't know how much communication you get from local health systems, but
I take information out and to their lobby areas quarterly. And I have one system that they won't have any of my stuff in their clinic. But what does that look like, boots on the ground, like finding like one provider, like maybe starting with one provider? Is that kind of what you're saying? And see if you can visit with them?
You know, it could be is like getting in front of a staff meeting. Maybe it's looking at a community health assessment and seeing what the priorities are in your community. You know, tobacco's likely not number one, right? It's probably medication, overdose, behavioral health. Yet those have components of commercial tobacco use too, right? It's all part of those kind of health conditions. Maybe it's finding that message that strikes a chord with a particular kind of healthcare worker who will start to kind of team up with you, see what they can do. It can sometimes take a little time if that's not something they have thought about, but you know, brief interventions are very effective, and you just kind of gotta start somewhere.
Great. If anybody else has anything for Cindy, you can pop that in the chat, but I will move on to Brady.
Okay, just 1 second.
Oh,
I did
sorry,
confirm
Brady.
there is no billboards purchased in this year's media buy.
Thank you.
Okay, third time's the charm, Brady. You're up.
Kara Hickel, do we have one larger population base area with Hazen Beulah, and I know they're not listed on your towns for radio. Do we need to try to cover that ourselves, or is that something that we can work with you on in getting them included in that media? At this point, we might be too late if you already have your list, and I understand that, but just checking.
We don't have the funding to expand it right now. We're pretty tapped out on this. But I will put it on the list and bring it up to Adni for future, because it was my understanding if there was radio to purchase that they reached out to them. So if I didn't say it on the list, I will ask Adni about it for future. But for right now, I don't think that we can add any ads. I will verify that, and if I am wrong, I will get back to you. If we do have, say, some money to expand into that, I will let you know right away, Brady.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for your answer.
Yep.
Lindsay had another hand up.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Mine was actually in response to Cindy. I was just talking about how I wanted to say I work for like a clinic, maybe reaching out to the clinic nurse manager specifically to kind of getting in with a nurse to kind of get that person within the clinic. I personally work in Jamestown at the clinic, and I last year was doing a visibility board about smoking, nicotine dependence, and different things that are available to the community, and TFND and like the smoke out, and having updated it a couple of times a year just to kind of it's in the waiting room so people are seeing it.
Great, thank you. Not seeing, it looks like there was one other response to you in the chat. That they've had their TTS staff talk. Not sure what that group is, nursing and provider staff meetings. So similar to what Kara Backer had mentioned.
I'm going to add one thing. I think a lot of you, well, it's in the Teams channel, and I've shared it with TTS as well, but the Ask Advise Refer Connect algorithm. That can be really useful in going to some of these staff meetings, or when you have the opportunity to be in front of a provider, because it doesn't take long to go through that, to ask about their commercial tobacco use, and then provide an advisory statement, and then say, we will connect you as part of your overall care to treat your nicotine dependence. That's it. It doesn't take long. And so maybe even role playing with somebody to show providers or other health staff, AARC is quick. And if providers don't address it, patients will think it's okay. So it's important to provide those brief interventions. So I would think that Ask Advise Refer Connect resource could be useful in showing healthcare staff it does not take long to provide a brief intervention.
I've started this past few months to really try to make sure just the other offices in our public health know, that are referring to me. And that seems like it has been really good. So I asked for some time at one of our staff meetings to just walk through, what that process looks like to get them referred just to our office, from another, like from WIC or from another office. So I just haven't ventured outside of that yet, other than taking brochures to clinics. So I will do that.
Yeah, and if your providers don't have someone on site for TTS, or they don't connect with you in person or another follow-up appointment, when providers know how to make this conversation flow, and then when patients receive a brochure and NDQuits, then that's impactful. Then that takeaway is useful for a patient. So it makes that connection with handouts. And that's really the purpose of print resources, to that take-home information after an intervention.
Any other questions?
If any NDQC grantees want to talk about what they've done, real quick, anybody? That might help someone brainstorm. Up to you. I know some of them are here, just saying. But no pressure.
I can talk, Kara. This is Amber Brady from Coal Country. I had put in the chat. Our Suboxone group is actually our medication-assisted therapy group of patients that come in for treatment. So they have group every other Wednesday after their provider visit. And one of our TTS staff members actually runs that group and is part of our behavioral health program. So she does her teaching at that as well. And then our nursing provider meetings, we've done events for the community. We've gone into our schools. We've done this last one. We did poster boards, specifically that we set up in all of our waiting rooms with the NDQuits, resources and handouts as well. And then just did like a tobacco facts essentially and vaping facts for specifically the state of North Dakota, and then kind of our occupational work sites. So we have a heavy plant industry, trucking workers. So we did things more geared towards that type of population as well. And then our school nurse, she does a lot of those education classes too with our kiddos, between our two organizations in Beulah and Hazen. So those are some of the things we've done. We've done events where we've had, during the month of June with our Quit Week, that we've had people come in to be entered in for a raffle that the clinic has sponsored themselves, and then had, they would get their NRT at their visit, and then more education materials too. But then we had more visits obviously during the month because they got entered into a raffle at the end. So some things like that is what we've done.
I like how you mentioned your OC health. Sometimes if it's too much to think about a whole location, maybe you're trying something with a particular population, see how it goes. So, you don't have to be overwhelmed. I think where the need is, and if you find an area that you want to start with and see how it goes, that's reasonable too.
Mm-hmm.
Kara gonna have to shame anybody else into sharing?
No, that was it. I just think, hopefully that some of you can kind of brainstorm with each other, but who the people are in your community that can kind of help you with this. Just promote your resources. NDQuits is also there to help. Face-to-face counseling is wonderful. Brief interventions are the start, and how your community can know that you're there. That's it.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for attending. Thank you to Andrew and Kara Becker and Kara Hickel for all their great work on producing these resources for you. I did put Andrew and Kara Hickel's emails in there. You can reach out to them if you have specific questions or concerns as mentioned. Really appreciate your time today and let us know what we can do to help get that Quit Week information out there coming up 1 month from today. So thank you all.
Thank you.